This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning and welcome. Another edition of Coffee Chat. How's that? All right. I like this first screen. Oh my God. I just want to keep it on here and just talk, but yeah. Tempting. So today we're going to talk about life insurance marketing. I know we were rolling into commercial, but we're flipping it over to life insurance because we want to increase the engagement. I want to get you more successes in the life insurance world. It's good for you, definitely good for us, but it most and foremost, I guess, it's great for the customer, and that's who we have to look out for. Right? So you want to get your staff involved, and you do got to convince them, not really convince them, but encourage them to engage. And so we have some scripts. We will be sending these to you. But again, a simple script before I transfer you, if they're taking a call, whether it's a service call, managing alert, in passing it over to the agent, I mean, just have them just jump in with this little script. Before I transfer you, I notice you don't have life insurance with us. I would hate for that to be an issue in the future. So make sure you ask your agent about what life insurance options we have. It's often less than you think. All right. Let me get the agent right for you, and then warm transfer the call and alert the agent that you started the conversation about life insurance. I mean, you got to plant seeds, and you have to get your staff on board to be consistent in doing it. Consistency is key to success. All right. For some of you, well, I joke around about introverts that maybe you don't want to reach out or talk, then fine, do an email or text. If you have ZipWhip, that's great. Or if you can actually use Apex. They have QuickSend where you can send a message to them directly there. And again, you can just type it in and send it off. Right? And if you do email someone something, I would definitely follow up with a phone call. And just say, hey, I just want to make sure you got my message. It's one of the biggest things that, number one product that we offer our customers. And I noticed, we haven't had a conversation about that. All right. So, I mean, that's another avenue, but you're still planting seeds. I always recommend that you change your email signature, to put something like a life insurance pitch or whatever your focus is. But you got to keep planting those seeds. Story time. I was in a life insurance training earlier this week with a lot of the ABCs from different districts, and they have some scripts here. This is another one, just kind of telling a story. And I'm going to go through this. So I know you're calling to talk about, let's say, auto insurance or home insurance or commercial, whatever it may be. But while I have you on the phone, who currently is taking care of your life insurance? So it may sound strange, but God forbid something happens to you and your family does not know who to call. I recently learned about a situation where just by knowing this bit of information made the difference for an elderly woman and kept her from losing her home. And so what really happened here is the agent actually gathered information about their clients who didn't have life insurance with them, but they kept records of where they had it with, including, the policy number. And so this little lady actually came in, and basically her husband had passed away. And she asked the agent, did he have life insurance? And he did not with the farmer's agent. All right. But the agent did offer it, and he kept notes that he offered it. But he also kept notes that, hey, he did talk about he had another policy with another company. Here's the information. They actually reached out to that company and got her the life insurance proceeds, which allowed her to keep the house, keep the cars, and move forward. And so, again, we want to be that advisor and gather that information and keep it in the file for our clients. Okay. And again, you can finish off. I want to be the one-stop shop for your loved ones, no matter if the coverage is with me or not. So would you please share some of the policy details so I can note it in your account and get the information, make a note, and keep it in the account. Okay. And again, every time you do a policy review, then you want to ask those questions again, and definitely look out for beneficiary changes. Okay. So there's another story where they had a policy, but from a previous marriage, they had a policy, they remarried, passed away. and they never changed the beneficiary. So the previous spouse actually got the proceeds of the policy, not the current spouse. So this is a service you want to do with your clients, all right? Ask those questions, have those unfortunately uncomfortable conversations, but you got to be comfortable having those uncomfortable conversations. And I always want to say, take your mindset out of it. Just take yourself out of it. What you think, how you think, just drop it. Okay. And I'll go into that a little more later. Okay. Another thing we came across is kind of an exercise you can basically do. You want to look at who are your 20 to 25 best clients. All right. These are those low maintenance clients. All right. They never call you unless there's a problem. Not those ones, you know, with the minimum liability limits on the auto or that renter's policy that call you every day. These are your low maintenance customers. Think back, where did you find them? All right. And if you were to text them today, I mean, how many of them do you think would respond to you either today or by tomorrow? And so what you want to do is send them a text. You know, tell them hey, I'm working with my coach, right? Your life coach, your sales coach, whatever you want to say. And we wanted to find out what's new with you. All right, that's one avenue. Or you can say, hey, I work with my coach and I just want to let you know what we're doing in our agency. Okay. And you have a new mantra. You know, you have to have a conversation with all of your clients about life insurance. And you can go into it, you can ask them, you know, who is it with? Is it enough or is it too much? Right? You always want to ask those questions to keep the conversation moving. Don't just leave it at that. Oh, I already got it at work. That conversation doesn't end there. Okay, that's great. Is it enough or is it too much? Okay, and so keep it moving. But again, this is something you can do. Just reach out and plant seeds. Okay. Another simple tool. We have a lot of tools for you. We can give you the template, which I'm going to send you the template, and print these up. And so if you do send a letter or evidence of insurance, you can put this sticker on that evidence of insurance. You know, hey, warning, this does not include mortgage insurance, mortgage cancellation protection, or mortgage protection. So, I mean, and you can put that on there. And a lot of times they will see that and they'll call you back. Hey, what's going on? How come I don't have that? All right. Well, it's a different type of coverage. Right? To me, I love calling it especially like a new family starter pack where you have the auto, the renter or home, and a life insurance policy. Okay. So, but these are some little things you can do to plant seeds just to kind of keep the conversation going and basically letting them know that you are an advocate for life insurance. Okay. Here's a letter we're going to send out to you. Again, a template that you can use. I definitely change, the date. Okay. The name, put your information on. This is something that I think, is this the one? I'm going to pull you in, Rachel. Is this the one where we printed on the yellow paper, or is it just they just send this out?
No, you can just send that out. It doesn't have to be yellow paper. It's not that
one. But again, it's kind of thanking them for their business and planting the seed that you offer life insurance. You got to be consistent in presenting life insurance, and it's something that you do, and be adamant about it. All right. Come on, the worst thing people can tell you is no. Got it. All right, we can move on. But every time you see them, you got to bring it up again. All right.
Can I interject real quick? Yep. Sorry to do that to you, Lauren, but has anybody done any of the mortgage letters and just finding different ways to approach it other than using the word life insurance? Has anybody tried this yet? From other agents that we have gotten feedback from, this has been a very successful tool. So I'd highly encourage, running your customer report list to see who has the homes and not the life insurance, because this is a very valuable, tool and a great way to approach it. So sorry to interrupt you there, Lauren, but I just wanted to ask if anybody tried it. So go right ahead.
Not a problem. Here's some additional scripts. This is if you're making a call to the customer or if the customer calls you. Again, you got to go through these scripts and you want to read them over and over again and have them, in your vernacular to where if it comes up, you can roll through it. It's not that you have to memorize it, although I kind of recommend it, but you got to know the flow of the conversation. And that's key in sales, is knowing the flow. That way, even if you get distracted, you know where you left off, and you can continue that conversation that you're having and that flow that you're kind of presenting and setting them up with. All right. So again, go through it repetitiously and be ready for objections. And practice with people around you, and ask them, please give me pushbacks, because you gotta understand the objections. You gotta be able to overcome objections, and you gotta work towards getting that. Yes, I'm interested. How much will that be for me? All right. A lot of tools. I do want to introduce, and I'm going to reach out to her and bring her on one of our trainings, but Nadia Cortez is an agent in Texas. 16-year farmer's agent, about $4,500 book, 6 century clubs, 12 toppers, 6 championships, 6 president's councils. And the reason I bring this up, and I definitely want to bring her into one of our training, is because of things like this. In 2020, she sold 148 life insurance policies in her agency. All right. You know, the amazing thing about this is she only sold 5 personally. Her staff sold the rest. So she's got, I think, 5 producers, and they sold 143 policies that year. And she sold over 100 policies in the past 6 years. So I definitely want to bring her into one of our coffee chats, have her jump in and give her what she does. And I'm going to give you a taste of what she does, because I think you need to kind of hear it from other agents that are having successes to step up your game. So she feels that there is a moral obligation for her to introduce it. If it's the most important product we offer, we got to offer it. So she has processes. She puts processes in place that every one of her producers has to ask about life insurance. She has a culture where everything in her office is basically ask me about life insurance. So you know when you walk in her office that she sells life insurance. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. There's no guessing, right? And you kind of want to do that. But the culture she started in presenting this is she had to convince herself it's worthwhile. And she does have a personal story about that. But she also has to convince her staff. One of the ways of convincing her staff is her office, she's sitting at a desk where she can actually oversee the staff in the office, and she can actually hear the conversations that they're having. And she did bring on a new producer, and they were basically dealing with the customer, and she listened in, and she did everything. The producer did everything she's supposed to. She got the right auto insurance in place, got the home policy in place, bundled it up, save her some money, and then she hung up the phone saying thank you. And Nadia reached out to her and says, did you offer life insurance? Well, no, I didn't. I thought that we were on the phone for 45 minutes. I didn't want to take up too much more time of his day. All right. And she says, well, you need to. So, I mean, what did you do for him? And she said, well, I saved him about $28. Okay, well, do me a favor. Nadia's telling her producer, do me a favor, write that on her account file. Put that in her notes in her file. That you saved them $28, all right? That you spent 45 minutes of time with them, and you didn't want to spend more time with them by pitching life insurance. The reason is, if something happens between now and today or tomorrow, and their spouse comes in and says, did they have life insurance? And you're going to show them that note that no, but we saved them $28. All right. So, and I spent 45 minutes. I didn't want to spend more time with them. Okay, because it's your name. She's talking to the person. It's your name that's on this note. That you had that conversation. It's not me. And so you need to kind of stand your ground and pitch it. Because if something happens, they're going to look at you, not me. All right. So I want to make sure you offer it to everybody, and that's kind of convincing her staff, and putting that culture and that mindset of you got to offer it. And then, of course, convincing your clients. Most people know they need life insurance. Most people just think it's more expensive than it actually is, right? Or they have that false sense of security that I have it at work. And we got to change that mindset, because the work, that's a temporary program. It's a secondary policy. Right? If they leave work, it's done. If the employer can choose to, on a whim, to save money, they can drop that group insurance program, and your client's left with nothing. So we want to put something in place. And the biggest thing that she emphasizes is always be consistent. Offer it, offer it, offer it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Okay. So if you're licensed to sell it, and this is where she convinced herself, If it's the most important product we offer, we got to offer it. Right? Let the customer say no. No, I'm not interested. No, I don't want to have that conversation right now. Let them say no. But if you don't even ask, you already said no for them. You took yourself out of the sale. And if you're in business to make money, because as a business owner mindset, that's what your mindset is. I want to make money. Why wouldn't you offer it? Increase your revenue. Okay, because it's good for you. It's good for them. All right. And you're doing something that other people aren't doing, is pitching that life insurance policy. Okay. So again, it's on your license, offer it. Another thing we want to look at, and another thing that Nadia presented to me was, you got to look at how people are situated. You have an asset, you have a home, you have a mortgage on that, and you're paying insurance to cover that loss if something happens. The house burns down, you have money to rebuild it. You have a car, let's say it's, 2 cars, 1 car, whatever the value is, and you're paying premium to protect it. So if you did get into an accident, you're paying premium for the insurance to replace it, right? Or if you hit someone, you've got the liability coverage. But what about you? I mean, if you're making $100,000 a year, what did you put in place to replace that for your family? And so, I mean, why even have auto liability insurance? Right? Because without you and your income that you bring to the table for your family, they're going to struggle. They're going to have to sell the house. They're going to have to sell the cars, maybe, get a beater, minimum liability, drop into an apartment and just rent because it's cheaper. Okay, so we want to put something in place. And this is not an easy conversation, right? But you got to have it and plant the seeds, offer the coverage. Okay, so I want to open it up before I get into the call to action. I want to, any questions or comments so far? Anything anyone wants to add?
We'll be able to get copies of that letter, or those
Yes,
letters.
you will. You're going to get everything I have. All right.
All right.
You got it. I encourage
I
you.
just want to say one thing in here. Convincing yourself, right? Like having conviction in what you're selling and just believing in that product and the value of it. I obviously am a huge advocate of life insurance and I have been over the years because I've seen it come into play, many times and really truly save families. But kind of along with the lines of what Lauren was saying, is don't ever assume that somebody, is not going to be in the market for it or not going to be able to afford it, because we can build, the coverage around what they can afford. And so, always keep that in mind. I'll never forget, several years back when I started in sales, one of the things that I was presenting an auto policy and it was like $8,000 for the year. It was ridiculous. And I went ahead and was like, oh my gosh, she's never going to buy this. I could never afford this. And the gentleman that I worked for at the time, he said, Rachel, never put yourself in somebody else's shoes, assuming what they can afford or what they want to spend their money on. Present it and pause. And I did. And he's like, hey, what are the monthly installment payments versus paying in full? Do I get a break if I pay it in full? And that's how he rolled into it. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he's wanting to bite off this much for an auto insurance policy. So you can just never assume what somebody is willing to pay for that coverage. And so when you're giving that control back to them, hey, how much can you afford? We can go ahead and build a policy around what you could afford. We can get you qualified ahead of time to see what you're qualified for. You've got all of those options. So those are just a couple of little tidbits on my thoughts. So
thanks, Rachel.
Back to you, Lauren.
You got it. All right. So the reason I have this time for change is because if you haven't been asking about life insurance, I want you to change that mindset. I want you to ask anybody and everybody you meet. Keep a tally of how many people you talk to about life insurance. I mean, I don't care if you have a yellow Post-it note, on the side of your computer, but every time you talk to someone, put a check and count how many times you've talked to people either every day or every week. because I want to see the numbers increase. I think it's good for you. It's definitely good for the customer. So I keep saying that because it is. All right. So I want you to basically try and set up 5 contacts per day, you know, chat, call, text, or email, and just present life insurance. And be consistent, because realistically, you miss one here, you miss one there. Eventually, you'll miss 100 people that you had an opportunity to have a conversation about life insurance, and you didn't bring it up. Okay. I know agents and district managers that have stories of where they had life insurance and how, you know, the family benefited from it. But I also know some agents and district managers where they never brought it up and something happened and they have nothing for that client's family. You know, outside of showing up for their funeral and either donating money to a GoFundMe account or just, you know, peeling off a $20 bill and donating towards the burial costs. And we don't want to leave our clients like that. And so always, always, always offer. Okay, so start your list. I mean, I'll talk to Rachel. Maybe we will have something that we could probably add to this to encourage it. But definitely, definitely get your staff involved. Make sure they're having conversations and have them track the conversations as far as how many people they presented life insurance to. Okay, so with that, I'm going to leave it open up to any questions. If you do need more information, do not hesitate to reach out to Rachel and myself anytime. Okay, but thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'll stick on the line if anyone has any more questions or any comments. All right, have a great day, you guys.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Lauren.
Lauren.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.